Record too. All right. All right. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you all for your patience and we appreciate your time. I am super excited about today's class. Now, let me tell you about what we're doing for the month of April. Here at businessgrants.com, our job is to make sure that you are not just applying for grants, but that your organization is prepared to win a grant. And in order to be prepared, you actually need to have a viable organization set up correctly so that you can be able to apply for a grant. Now, those of you who are going to see this later, you may not have a nonprofit organization, and that's okay because we're going to help you with that. But in the meantime, before we get started, I want to make sure that you all know the purpose of Super Tuesday, and that is to get you ready. We want you to be grant ready. We want you to be ready for partnerships, for sponsorships, and for program partnerships. So all of that means that your organization has to be set up the right way. So at the end, we're going to give you an awesome opportunity to get your nonprofit started right now. And you guys know, I don't sugarcoat. If I am going to help you, if I say I'm going to help you, I'm going to help you. And for some of you, you've been waiting far too long to start. So this is your key. This is your signal. Start today. And all of the excuses will be taken away at the end when I talk to you. All right. In the meantime, I'm going to turn this over to our guest today. We have on the call the nonprofit guy himself. God, give it up for Mr. Blake Nathan. Woo!
Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Thank you for jumping on our Super Tuesday. And today, you can talk to us about. Really, you can talk to us about whatever you want to talk to us about. But the goal for everyone that's going to be watching today is what do we need to be set up for foundations to approve us. Mm-hmm. And so hopefully you could get us right. Get us right, Nathan, Blake, get us right, Blake.
I got you, y'all. I'm super excited, man. Do I have screen share access? I do. Okay, yes. It is about to go down, y'all. I'm excited, man, because one thing about it, anytime I get a chance to talk about the nonprofit space, y'all, it is a pleasure, it is an honor, and it's definitely a privilege. And I know to this morning, you guys are watching live. I know you guys are going to be also re-watching the replay. So the information that I'm going to talk about today and this morning is going to be information that you can apply right now in your nonprofit organization. Like, I want you to not only apply to grants, but win grants. Like, we don't want to just apply these grants and hoping that we're just shooting darts at a target. We want to make sure that we're applying and winning these grant opportunities. And I have a presentation that I'm going to show you. I want to make sure you got your notes ready and make sure you got your Google Docs ready. If you're on your phone, make sure you have your notepad out. Also, if you're old school like me, sometimes I need to write this information down, screenshot it, whatever you need to do. Because I want to make sure you take this information and you apply in your nonprofit organization. Now, I always say, I got a little sun in my hat, y'all, my fault. I always say this too. No money, no mission, right? There's no way that we can fulfill the mission of our nonprofit organizations if we do not have the money to do so. I want us as nonprofit leaders, executives, CEOs, and founders to get really comfortable with talking about money, y'all. Because guess what? If we want to do affordable housing projects, if we want to be able to combat childhood obesity, if we want to make sure we're providing educational equity and access to educational resources, we need to have the funding to do so. And guess what, y'all? There's funders out there that's sitting on money, right? That would love to support your idea, that would love to support your mission. Because guess what? There's untapped resources, there's untapped funding, there's untapped grant opportunities. There's pockets of money that's saying, you know what, sometimes the organization is not even grant ready, right? So my thing is, like, we want to make sure that when we're positioning ourselves for this funding opportunities, the most important thing that you want to be grant ready. And we talk about this all the time in the nonprofit space. The separation of you winning that 6-figure grant, that $50,000 grant, it's based around you not being grant ready, right? Let me put this in my thing right quick, y'all. My notes, real quick, and we about to get it cracking, y'all. We about to get it cracking, cause I'm gonna make sure I give y'all. I got I got 45 minutes. How much time I got today? 45 minutes or an hour? Cause I'm gonna make sure I keep.
Yeah, you got about you got about 40 minutes.
Oh, let's go then. Let's get it, y'all. So, for those who don't know me, I am the nonprofit guy. I literally help people start, scale, and sustain their tax-exempt nonprofit organizations. My ultimate goal is that we are creating organizations that one day will put ourselves out of business. I always tell people that when you're starting these nonprofits, you have a mission, but you also have a vision. The vision is the ultimate goal. If you had a crystal ball and you said, you know what, if I had my nonprofits established today in 10 years, 20 years, or 30 years, this is the ultimate goal that we want to achieve by doing our work in the community. Guess what? As a founder, your goal is to put yourself out of business. If you're saying I want to build affordable housing, I want to solve domestic violence, I want to make sure people have access to mental health services, eventually you want to be able to put yourself out of business, right? And so I help individuals start their nonprofits, scale their organizations, really fleshing out what is your nonprofit offer. We're going to talk about that this morning, y'all. What is that nonprofit offer? Also, how do we sustain ourselves? I don't want people to start nonprofits and then guess what? In 3 years, you're dissolving your nonprofit. You're closing your doors. And you know what? Hey, you know what? I tried to self-fund my nonprofit, but that wasn't sustainable because guess what? It's not sustainable. You don't have enough money to sustain your nonprofit organization. So we have to do OPM, use other people's money. And other people, I mean our donors, our sponsors, our supporters, and also the more importantly, the people that have the most money is the foundations, is the state agencies, is the grant funders. So that's what I do, y'all. And I started like this, man. My journey, I was in the classroom. I was a classroom teacher. If you never heard my story, I was working as a middle school teacher, teaching 7th and 8th grade kiddos about technology. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. I moved to the Midwest in 2012 to start my teaching career. And I feel like I was a rock star teacher, right? Because guess what? Young guy, suited and booted, teaching young people. But guess what? I was representing only 2% of the national teacher workforce because guess what? Black men represent only 2% of the national teacher workforce. There is a problem. There's a huge disproportionality rate between the students that we're serving in education and the teacher workforce. And so I started a nonprofit that was going to diversify the national teaching population by recruiting and retaining educators of color. That's why I started my nonprofit. And I always say this too. People that start nonprofits, they start nonprofits for 3 reasons. Number one, they see a problem in their community and they believe their nonprofit has the most innovative solution to solving and combating that problem. Number two, you have a life experience that is like, oh my gosh, I have a story to share or story to tell, but also the people that will reap the benefits of my services and my programs through my nonprofit organization, I see myself in. And number three, just be honest, y'all, people want to save money on taxes. Like people that start nonprofits want to save money on taxes. That's why corporations, for-profit entities create foundations. That's why individuals create family foundations or public charities, because they say, you know what, I can, instead of paying all this money to Uncle Sam, I can donate some of this money to my own nonprofit organization, y'all. So guess what? I went from being a classroom teacher and I started writing grants. The way that I was able to leave teaching in the classroom was because I received a $172,000 grant from the state of Indiana to do a STEM program for teacher recruitment. It was a STEM teacher recruitment grant. It was a 2-year grant, $172,000. That's about $86,000 a year. And I baked my salary inside of the grant budget. So I've been able to win $200,000 grants, $50,000 grants, $400,000 grants, and even $75,000 grants, and much, much more, y'all. So I'm trying to tell you the way that we can have our retirement plan, leaving from our 9 to 5 to now being a full-time CEO, is through grants. It's not just through donations. It's not through a fee for service model. It's not through just sponsorships. It's literally, if we can get the grants, the grant dollars to make us a sustainable organization, to have a fully funded program, service, or initiative, we can leave our 9 to 5 job right now to be a full-time CEO. And I say this, what is a grant? I know a lot of y'all are new to this nonprofit space. I'm like, man, Blake, I've been seeing people talk about grants on social media. Everybody saying apply for a grant a day, or here's a funder out there. You know, we're posting grants all the different times a day saying, hey, here's a grant, here's a grant, here's a grant. And you're like, what is a grant, y'all? And I always say this too. A grant is a financial award provided by either the government, like state agencies, federal government, right? And you may feel like right now, like, oh my God, I've seen this new administration. They're pulling all the grant dollars back. You know, we can't apply for grant funding right now because they're slicing and dicing the grants. Y'all, there's still money out there. And we're going to talk about where the other money is in the private foundation space. You also have the foundation level. This is like community foundations. Every city, major city, small city, rural city, metropolitan city has a foundation, a community foundation. And these community foundations they're basically like a bank. I call them like they're playing bank. They're playing bank for donors, supporters, givers, giving circles, where they're putting their money into a fund. That's what we call it. It's called a fund, or it's called a grant cycle or grant proposal, not grant proposal, a grant opportunity, or they put it in the fund and like, hey, instead of us just donating to these different nonprofits or putting 10,000, 20,000, 100,000 here, spreading across different organizations, we want to just put our money into the community foundation, and then the community foundation will administer the grant selection process for us. So foundations is what we're going to talk about tonight, this morning, y'all. Also, you have organization-specific support for projects and initiatives. So it's also most grants, about 100% of them, right? You're not paying back the money to the funder, right? This is, instead of the ROI, return of an investment, right? I call it the ROI, return of impact. Funders and grantors that are giving you money want to see the return of the impact from the dollars that they invested inside your organization. What do you mean, Blake? How many people are we impacting? How many individuals are we serving? How many houses are we building? How many youth are we working with through our programs? They want to see the impact, and they want you to measure that over an extended period of time. All right. That is what a grant is. A grant is an opportunity, a financial investment for you to go out there and actually execute on the things that you talked about in your grant proposal. That's what they want to see. It's also, guess what, y'all? It's also a hypothesis. There is no guarantee, right? One of my mentors told me this a while back when I first started writing my first ever few grants. And they said, Blake, this is an assumption. You are assuming, and it's almost like an hypothesis where you are believing that if somebody invested this amount of money into your nonprofit organization, you can yield these type of results. You can serve this amount of people. You can create this amount of change in your community based on receiving this grant dollars. It's not 100% guaranteed that will happen. The funders know that. So I need you all to also know that there is no guarantee. But guess what happens when you don't hit that guarantee? When you tell the funder, well, we may have an 80% success rate. We may have a 60% success rate. You're going to report on that in a thing called a grant report. And we're going to talk about that here a little bit later. So I always say this too, y'all. Before you invest your hard-earned money, do not hire a grant writer just out the gate. Do not, until you write your first grant, you need to make sure you do not hire a grant writer, because guess what? What happens is when you hire your first ever grant writer and you don't have your programs fleshed out, you don't have your project timeline, you don't have your budget clearly ironed out and itemized, you don't know your outcomes, your success metrics, guess what's going to happen? You're going to try to pay somebody with not having the adequate information, and for the organization to not be grant ready. So guess what's going to happen? You're going to spend thousands of dollars on a grant writer and hoping and desiring that they're going to just magically create this masterpiece of a grant proposal narrative and win you a six-figure grant. That doesn't happen. I hate to say it, y'all, it doesn't happen like that. So before we get into getting a grant writer, I want us to first say we need to be grant ready, right? We have to be grant ready as an organization. Now, there's a difference, right? I don't call myself a grant writer. I really call myself a grant coach. Can I write? Yes. Have I written before? Yes. Do I still even sometimes write for my own nonprofit? Yes, I do, right? But I really identify myself as a grant coach in this space where I can provide you expert guidance. I can support you through really fleshing out the strategies, the program implementation, the timeline. What are your outcomes? What's your metrics? Like, so you can increase your chances of winning that grant opportunity. I also can look at the language that you're using in your responses to grant questions and say, we need to tweak that a little bit. That doesn't come off really clear and concise and compelling. And that's what really grant writing is. You don't need to try, we call it boiling the ocean, right? It's almost impossible to boil the ocean. What I see a lot of nonprofit leaders and founders and CEOs and executives do when they start writing submitting grant proposals, they talk about all the wonderful things that they want to do, all the impact they want to make, all the programs that they offer, all the initiatives that they have. That's doing too much. Because guess what? The funders don't care about all the things you want to do. And I'm going to I'm going to give you some plays today that you can run right now, how you can win some easy grants, right? So a writer, their main objective, y'all, they should be researching for you. They should research and identify grants for you. Also, they're going to prepare and submit a detailed proposal to secure funding for your nonprofit. That is their main goal. Grant writers are not program designers. They're not curriculum developers. They're writers. They're going to take what you give them to write a compelling narrative that articulates what you're trying to explain to a funder so you can be a fundable organization. That's what they want to hear. That's what a writer does. A writer, I would tell a writer, like, hey, I want to do this program. We're going to start it in August. It's going to go from August to December. We need about $50,000. We're going to serve about 20 people. I want to measure if they start with me in August, by December, they should be achieve this goal. So a writer would take what I just verbally communicated in a grant meeting or a grant writing meeting, and they'll put in written text. And they'll say, okay, Blake, send me the budget. What's the itemized budget? Send me some supporting documents. Send me your program timeline. Okay, cool. They're not creating that information for them, for the application. Me as a leader, I have to do it. So we have, as leaders, we have to get really crystal clear on what we're trying to offer. Right. And I keep on saying this word offer, right? You hear me saying offer, offer, offer. I know we see this in the for-profit space all the time. You have to have an offer, need to have an offer. You need to sell something. Y'all, nonprofits, we are a business. As nonprofit organizations, you need to have an offer, right? An offer, I say these are your top 3 offers. You don't have to have all 3, right? Again, coming out the gate, starting your brand new nonprofit, you do not have to have all 3. The first one that I think is the most fundable thing through a nonprofit organization, and the one way that you can raise a lot of money to support your mission and the vision of the nonprofit, is having a program. A program. And again, a program doesn't have to be a year long. It doesn't have to be 6 months. It can be a 4-week program that you do every month. It can be a bi-monthly program. You determine the timeline. You determine the timeline. You determine the number of people you want to serve. You determine the outcomes you want to achieve. Like, you're telling a funder, if I receive $50,000, I can achieve this goal with this money. I can support this amount of people over this extended period of time. That is a program. You also can provide a service. This is like direct support or actual resources from your nonprofit that you provide individuals or your community. So think about it. If you usually charge, and again, you can have a fee for service model in your nonprofit, but I know a lot of us are wired a certain way as nonprofit executives, and like, you know what? I don't feel comfortable charging my community the rate that I know I should charge them. And I want to make it affordable for them. So I always tell leaders, if you want to make it affordable, even if you want to make it free, who's flipping the bill? If it's a fee for service, there's a fee associated with that service. Who is flipping the bill? If you don't want to charge it, where are we getting the money from? We're getting the money from a grant, a donor, or a sponsor, right? An initiative is the last one that you can think about having, right? Again, you don't have to have all 3. You can just choose one. Some nonprofits are a service-based nonprofit organization. Some nonprofits, they are initiative-based organizations. Some nonprofits have long programs, monthly programs, right? But initiatives is a short-term, ongoing campaign. You can do an event that's an initiative, right? But it's really around awareness, bringing awareness, driving engagement, or even sparking action. I say this too. I think March was Women's Empowerment Month. So if you was a nonprofit that was based around empowering women and uplifting women, you could have did an initiative just around the month of March, around Women's Empowerment Month, right? time sensitive, cause related, right? That's an initiative. But you may have a program that we do monthly, right? Around bringing, uplifting, empowering women. That's totally up to you, right? So where do we spend the money, Blake? I get this grant. I get this 100,000. I get this 50. I get this 500,000. I get a 7-figure grant. Where can I spend the money? Y'all, there's a thing called a grant budget. And funders are going to require, most funders, right? And I always say the more money you're asking for, the more detailed you have to be in your grant proposals. And the more detailed that you're going to have to be in your grant proposals, you're going to have to be even more detailed in your numbers. Like the numbers tell the story. So when we're talking to funders and asking grantors to give us these large lump sums of money, we have to know our numbers. I see a lot of founders, right? When we talk about how much you need, they say, I don't know. I think I need about 50,000. Okay, so what's your program cost? Now, also in that 50,000, first question I'm asking them, how much you gonna pay yourself, right? Like Stacey, you want to get paid a salary of running your nonprofit, I'm pretty sure, right? And so when we think about this, these are the itemized categories that you can spend your grant dollars on. Now, this is my forewarning, right? So you won't say, "Oh, Blake, I heard people misappropriating funds and spending money on flights and taking staying these 5-star hotels and buying these expensive dinners." Because probably they didn't ask the fund. One, I would not do extreme like that. That's doing overkill, right? That's literally overload of using grant dollars. There are travel budgets you can put in grants. There's food per diems you can put in grants. There's office spaces leasing rates you can put in grants. There's personnel costs you can put in grants. You don't have to overdo it though, right? Just because you have access to this funding doesn't mean that you say, oh, well, I have a travel budget, so I'm going to just buy a first class flight. No. Were you going to buy a first class flight regularly flying on your own dollars? That's how I look at my organizational budget. Would I do this normally out of my own personal finances? Probably not, right? Probably not. So if I'm going to treat my organizational budget as almost if it's my personal I'm going to manage the money the right way. I'm going to try to save on expenses. I'm going to try to make sure I get the best offer, the best invoice, the best rate when I'm paying these different items. So personnel cost is the top priority, y'all. You need to accumulate, and you need to add in your salary when you're writing grants. Think about it. If you were working a 9-to-5 job right now and you said, hey, if I ask you a question, would you leave right now working your 9-to-5 job, making the same salary to run your nonprofit full time? Would you say yes or no to that? Would you say yes or no? Most of y'all would say yes, right? Kendra, right? Y'all would say yes. Like, I would leave this 9-to-5 job, working my nonprofit full time, making the same salary, and not even just the same salary, getting the same benefits, health benefits, dental, 401k. Y'all, the executive directors of nonprofit organizations that we see in our community every single day is getting a salary. Some of y'all work for nonprofit organizations right now, and you're getting a salary. So why do we have this mindset that if I run my own nonprofit organization, I'm not worthy or deserving to be compensated for my time, energy, effort, blood, sweat, and tears that I'm investing into running this nonprofit organization? There are funders that will pay your salary. You put that budget in there. Now, there's not every funder, right? Because some funders do not pay salaries. They want the money to go to program expenses, which is our next line item. And that is the bulk of your organizational budget, is your program expenses. I say the rule of thumb is around 60% of your organizational budget. 60%. 60% of your organizational budget will be going straight to programming, your nonprofit programming. Now, in your program budget, you may have contractors, you may have supplies, you may have materials, you may have curriculum developers, you may have a lot of these things in your program expenses, but the bulk of your organization budget of a nonprofit is your program expenses. But guess what? Also, you can include in grant budgets, professional fees, consulting. You can hire 1099 contract workers, agencies. Like, I literally hire a marketing agency to do my marketing assets for my nonprofit. That lowers my overhead, right? And these are also, guess what? You can tell the contractors or the vendors that you're working with, this is grant funded positions. They know that. God, every nonprofit has grant funded positions. And it's okay to hire people and let them know, hey, I'm hiring you for about 24 months, 12 months, 6-month project. It's a grant funded position. Cool. Let's go. Let's rock it out. Travel, transportation, yes, lodging, food, per diem for your staff. That's you can include those costs inside your grant budget. Now, everything that you see on this screen, because we're about to get into like the private foundation plays, y'all, has to be approved by the grantor. That's why I want you really to understand when I'm itemizing these items on the screen, it has to be approved by the funder. And funders will give you really a budget template, and they will give you eligible expenses that you can add inside your grant proposals. So guess what? The people that get in trouble with misappropriating funds, 9 times out of 10, one, they overexpended in a budget item that they were not supposed to. They probably reallocated some funds from a budget item that they did not use all the funds for. And they say, okay, we're going to reallocate some funds from a marketing budget to our office space. You can't do that unless you told the funder, hey, can you give us the approval to make amendment to our grant proposal or our grant budget to reallocate these funds to this line item? That's how you stay in the clear. That's how you keep the funder relationship, right? But these are the items that you can include in your grant budget. Also, I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna go quick. I'm not even gonna go over this, y'all, because I want to tell you the grant types. Cause I see the time, y'all. Grant types, right? I say this: there are different types of grants out there. There are restricted grants, and these grants are designated for like a specific project or specific purpose or campaign or program or event. Like you have a restricted grant. You cannot reallocate these funds. Sometimes these grants are restricted to a certain zip code, a city, even a state, right? So some of y'all may have maybe nonprofits eventually where you're operating in multiple states. Some of y'all may be operating in multiple counties. If you got a grant from a specific funder and they literally tell you, I promise you, I'm telling you from my own experience, like, and a funder got upset with me because it was a zip code restricted grant. I could not move the money. Again, I helped a teacher purchase a house. It was from one of our initiatives. It's called a Teacherville initiative. We paid for down payment assistance. And literally the house address was probably like 2 miles from the restricted zip code. They said it was a restricted grant, Blake. We told you the priorities for this zip code, and you decided to help a teacher in this zip code. That wasn't our funder priority. So I'm telling you, restricted grants, right, is for a specific project, specific purpose, right? You got unrestricted. Now, a lot of us want these unrestricted grants. Like we want the money where we can decide where to move the money to. Y'all, I got a grant for $75,000 from Barstool, and shout out to Willow and Gilly, man, because I got it from. They had a grant, and somebody posted in the community I was in, 75,000 unrestricted. So, and it was basically to help save organizations and help local nonprofit organizations that are minority led and ran. So I won the grant, 75,000. Y'all, I asked them, I said, do we need to submit a grant report? They said, no, we just want to help out nonprofits. Of course, we had to apply for the grant opportunity, but it was a 75,000 unrestricted grant. That means you can apply to your general operating expenses, your strategic initiatives. You have flexibility in that spending. A lot of us want that, right? Because we want to like, okay, I got something coming up for a specific event. I want to put 5,000 over here. That's unrestricted. Then you got project grants, right? Sometimes these project grants, those are the best grants, y'all. We love unrestricted because you really can get super creative with unrestricted. You got project grants, right? These are special projects or initiatives. We talked about what initiatives are. Capacity building grants. There are funders want you to scale. There are funders that want you to increase your capacity. Capacity means your internal team. Help you with your board development. Help you with strategic planning. Like, hey, we've seen what you have done already as a nonprofit organization, but we want to invest in you to help you grow and scale this nonprofit. And the last type of grants are these challenge grants or even matching grants. Sometimes you got to go out there and get some money before you actually apply to grants. Because in the application, they're going to say, do you have the matching funds for this grant opportunity? Sometimes it's 50% of the grant. Sometimes it's 20%. Sometimes it's 30%, right? But sometimes there are these funders like, yo, we will give you the money, but we want to also know that you have the capability to go out here and get the money from other funders. And we're willing to match you, or we're willing to approve you if you get the confirmation from these other funders. Those are challenge grants and matching grants, right? The grant types, right? I say there's level, like Meek Mill said, there's levels to it. A lot of us want to go to level 4. That's federal level. Like we see the federal grants and we're like, oh my God, I need a federal grant, Blake. I want the $1 million grants. Like those are cool. Like I promise you they are. I know a lot of nonprofits, I mean, that get federal grants. Federal funding does exist. But I always say this too. If you want to play with the big boys and go to the federal level, you have to have the financial runway to be able to win those grants. What do you mean by financial runway, Blake? I mean, do you have 60 to 90 to 120 days of financial resources in your bank account that you can sometimes wait on the funding from the federal government? Because sometimes these federal governments are drawdowns. Where it's like, hey, we'll give you the $1 million, but we're not giving you the $1 million in your bank account. You have $1 million that you can pull from, right? And you have to invoice us. You have to send us receipts, proof of payment, and then you will give you the money. It's almost like reimbursable. And sometimes the state level is like that too, right? You get from state agencies, Department of Education, Department of Justice, Department of Health, Energy, like Department of Transportation, your state agencies, right? I like state grants for sure, because again, these are bigger grants. But again, you got to be super detailed in your proposals. You got local; these are city levels. That's level 2, right? So city levels, your state, like your city agencies, your local school districts. Y'all, it's a lot of money. People think schools don't have money. Yes, they do. You just go into the schools. You need to be going to the districts. They are the ones that's sitting on the budgets. They're the ones that's going to pay you. The school's not cutting the check. It's the district. And you need to be a vendor with the district. You're doing business with the school district, not the school. But the level that we're going to talk about, y'all, and I know we're getting close on time. I got y'all. I'm gonna give y'all my LinkedIn play today. So I'm gonna give y'all some freebies. I'm gonna give y'all some freebies today. Those is here. Also, community foundation, y'all, by far none, is probably the best level to start it. And I always advise, if you're starting your nonprofit today, and you're like, Blake, I just started my nonprofit yesterday. What can I win a grant? The answer to that question is yes. And I'm gonna say, have you started at the community foundation level? These are usually your private foundations, right? You got community foundations, private foundations, and I promise you, when you research your local community foundation, you will see that they are linked to most times a private foundation. The community foundation is just the grant administrators. They're the ones that's going to pay you. They're the ones that's going to read over your application, make sure you submit the application. They're gonna host a grant portal for you, right? They're doing the grant management for sometimes the private foundations, right? But I like the community foundation route, and these in private foundation, and there's private foundations national as well, right? Regional private foundations, but I like to start local. You can run it up to 7 figures locally in your community foundations because there's so many grants that's out there, right? But if I was starting my nonprofit right now, I will start at the community foundation level, and I'm going to build relationships because I'm going to talk about my date framework. I'm gonna give y'all literally how I win private foundations right now, how I win grants on the private level right now. This is my date framework. Literally, what I mean by date, I'm like, you have to court these people. You're asking them to go. Like, if some of y'all are married right now, or you're dating somebody and you're in a relationship, doesn't matter if it's short-term or long-term relationship. When you decide to be in a relationship with somebody, you are going to court them, you're going to date them, you're going to get to know them. Before somebody asked for your hand in marriage, before I asked for my wife's hand in marriage, I had to get to know her. I'm not going to say on the first date, like, do you want to be my wife? And I'm pretty sure for my ladies, if a man asks you on the first date, would you marry me? You probably answer that question, probably be like, no, I don't know you. Because you haven't got a chance to build a rapport with that individual. You don't know what they like, what they're passionate about, what their future goals are, what their aspirations are. So my date framework, y'all, I'm gonna give to y'all right now. Sorry. I told you I'm getting over a cold still, man. Still. My day framework. The first one is discover. Discover. I want you to really make a list, y'all, of your wants and your desires of a nonprofit organization. When we discover, we also want to do our research on funders. Guys, grant writing and trying to win grants is not just like, I hope somebody sees my nonprofit and they're telling me to apply for an opportunity. I apply for the opportunity and I win a grant. That's not how it happens. like it doesn't happen like that. We have to research these grants. And in the discover phase, we're also going to find a connection with somebody over this private foundation to initiate, right, the process. So first off, think about it, discover. We're going to research some funders that we want to think about, that we may want to apply for or apply to. And then we're going to try to initiate a conversation. And this gets to my A in the date method. Approach, right? So, y'all, you have to find a way. And I'm going to show you the easiest way. And I'm going to stop sharing this screen. And I'm going to show you how I find funders right now. Stacy, since you on camera, I appreciate you for being on camera. I want you to put in the chat right now what city, if you don't mind putting your city that you live in. And if you don't put your city, put your state you live in. I can find a major city in your state. And I'm gonna show you how we approach funders. I'm also, for those that on the call right now, I'm literally gonna drop in the chat my LinkedIn. This is my cold outreach LinkedIn play. How do I build a relationship? How do I even approach funders? Like organically, authentically. Because again, if we want to win grants on the private level, I need to talk to the people that are in charge, that's overseeing that grant opportunity. So this is what I'm gonna stop sharing screen real quick. And we're gonna do this live. I want this to be a full, like literally, I want to do this with you all so you can see exactly how I do what I do. Bronx, somebody says Bronx, New York, Lakeland, Florida. Okay, Bronx, New York. I'm pretty sure. I can guarantee this is what, and I'm gonna drop in the chat too, y'all. I'm gonna drop in the chat my LinkedIn. This is my code outreach. Y'all mind if I give y'all a free gift today for showing up and being present? And all you gotta do, make a copy of this, and you can change the language, right? You can do whatever you want to do, right? And I'm gonna show you how I build authentic connections, and I'm gonna show you some messages that I messaged out to someone on LinkedIn. And y'all, Instagram is for the show, LinkedIn is for the dough. I'm just gonna be 100% honest with you. Like, for the nonprofit space, if you want to raise money, you need to be on LinkedIn. You need to have a business LinkedIn profile, and you need to have a personal LinkedIn presence. Because how we're going to communicate and reach out to these folks that they don't know our nonprofit, they don't even know that we exist. We have to build authentic connections. This is the A part. We're trying to approach them, right? So I'm on LinkedIn. We're going to look at Bronx, right? Y'all trying to get all these community foundations. I love it, y'all. I love it. So Stacy said Bronx, y'all. We're gonna go to Bronx. So I'm literally going to Google, right? And I'm gonna just type in, and I don't know the community foundations in New York, but I'm gonna show, let's just see. So we're gonna say Bronx, New York, community foundation. Right? Look, I told y'all. Every city has a foundation. This is me doing it live with you right now. What's the first thing that we see? The Bronx Community Foundation. What is the first tab they have on the Bronx Community Foundation? Grants. Y'all, this is not hard. You don't need a software. Yes, if you have a software, cool. I'm gonna give y'all some softwares y'all can use right now too, after this, to make y'all job easier. But if you feel like, man, how do I, Blake, again, how do you do, what's the secret? Like, what is the play? What's the strategy? This is how I do it, y'all. Bronx, they got grants, right? Look at this. So we do not currently have an open grant cycle. Y'all, that's not bad news. Because guess what? That grant cycle may open up in May. It may open in the summertime. It may open in the fall. And that is okay, because guess what? This is the best scenario. Because right now, if you went on this page and they had a grant opportunity open right now, would you be ready to apply for it? Probably not. Also, we didn't get a chance to even talk with the funder. That's one of my other strategies, y'all. I do not apply for any grant opportunity if I did not meet with the funder. I have learned that over the years, that I want to make sure the grant selection committee can put a name with a face with an organization. I want them to replay in their mind, like, oh my God, I remember talking with Blake Nathan. He's the CEO and founder of the Educate Me Foundation. He talked about the Teacherville Initiative. And like, so when they read the proposal, because guess what? It's all black and white. It's all numbers. It's all information. Everybody's proposal look the same. If you use AI, somebody used a grant writer, nowadays they don't even know. So what is separating your proposal from the competition? Did you meet with them? Do you got some supporting documents? Y'all, like, that's what we do. So guess what? They give you the email. I like that. I like they gave me the email. They don't have any grant opportunities, but I also want to do this. Who's on the team? So I like to see they got board of directors, which is cool, right? I don't need the board of directors. I go to their approach, which is cool. All right, cool. So I say this, y'all, good website, not the best. Good website, not the best, because when I want to try to reach out to somebody, I need to see who their staff is, right? I need to see who their staff is. And now I'm gonna use another one. Somebody said Atlanta, Georgia. Greater Community Foundation of Metro. I think it's Community Foundation. Let's type this up, y'all. We doing this live right now. Community Foundation, Greater Atlanta. That's the nonprofit. That is the foundation for Atlanta, Georgia. They have a good. I'm trying to show you the difference of what I'm looking for when I go on these websites. So I go to their website. Boom. Here's again. They have their grants under where is it? About us, no, our work, our impact. They usually have it under grant opportunities right here. Boom. Y'all, this is where the money is, right? And they have now Community Foundation of Atlanta, they have a portal, but they also have all these opportunities. Like I told you, here's the deadlines. Look, this is a better one. Right now, we see the difference from the Bronx and Atlanta. So Atlanta's saying, hey, we got a deadline opens up. We got an orientation. Y'all go to the orientations. Go to the orientations. They use about 30 minutes to an hour long. You sit on the Zoom call. You learn about the grant opportunity. And that, again, I would rather invest 30 minutes to an hour just sitting on an orientation to see if my organization is aligned with the funding opportunity rather than wasting my time spending a few hours writing the proposal. This is where you get a chance to literally ask your questions. You talk with the funders. You talk with the grantors. You say, you know what? This is what we want to do. This is what we're trying to fund in this grant cycle. That's what the meeting's for, right? Like, here we go. So applications are due May 16th. Review period, May through July. August 25th. They're going to have another approvals go out on August. And then they'll give you the grant agreement sent. So that's the timeline from April to September. That is a timeline that we're looking at. Now, this is $2 million, under $2 million nonprofits. Now, I don't know what the grant size is. I haven't gone deep into it, right? But here are the other ones they have, right? Boom. Please check back in 2025. Housing, right? Another one open. They haven't opened this one up. This is outdated. So again, when we look at these proposals, boom. What I like to do this is what I want to see on a right organization's website. This right here. I don't even have to go to LinkedIn. Now, show the difference between LinkedIn. If I go on LinkedIn right now, I'll type in the Bronx Community Foundation. Let's see if they show up. All right. And I'm going to say companies. That's what they are. Boom. Here we go. So, boom. I go to people. I want to see who works at the foundation because guess what? They didn't put that on their website. They didn't. So, unlike Greater Atlanta, they already did my homework for me. Now, if I'm in Bronx, like Stacy, I'm trying to figure out who works for this organization that I need to talk to. Boom. Okay, these are the people, right? This is it. Director of Operations, that's not the person you need to talk to. Director of Equity Programming, maybe. And right now that's seen, and then President, I don't know who Devon, let's see who Devon is. He may not be, he's just a volunteer. He just put that in his bio. We don't need to talk to him either. Let's see, let's go to, who's that person that was, where was the person that we just saw? Where is it? Direct operate. Oh, I can't pronounce the name, but so this is good, right? Stacy, all I would do is this. press connect, send without a note. He probably will accept my invitation. LinkedIn, don't be scared, y'all. It's not, this is a professional network. And I'm pretty sure Mr. Pat Asanagi or Sagi will know that I'm reaching out to him. So I want to build a relationship with him. I want to build a connection. He's gonna look at my profile, see that I run a nonprofit. He's like, okay, the guy runs a nonprofit. Maybe he wants to work with the Bronx Community Foundation. There's no secret, right? There's no secret. And hopefully he will accept my invitation. Then I can shoot him a message. What message am I going to send him? I have a few. We got a few that we can send out. This is all the approach stage, y'all. We're still in the approach stage of the date framework. I can say, you know what? Here, I'm going to do, this is a cold outreach, right? This is introduction, inquiry about a grant name. If I want to come out the gate and say, hey, I see a grant open, I know you work for the organization, I'm going to just come out the gate just asking for it, right? Somebody sees you walking by like, hey, man, can I get your number? That's that email, right? We just going to ask for the number out the gate. We're not trying to have no long conversation. I need to know like, hey, can I get your number so we can talk? This email, hey, my name is, put your name here, your title, I work for this nonprofit. I'm reaching out to introduce myself to learn more about the grant name. You're direct, right? Or you can do, that's an email, right? Or you can do authentic connection via the messaging in LinkedIn. This is authentic connection. Hey, man, I hope you're doing well. My name is so-and-so. I lead this nonprofit. I've been following your work, and I'm impressed by what you're accomplishing at the Bronx Community Foundation. I'd love to learn more about you, da-da-da. Most of the time, they're like, cool, like, y'all, just so you know I'm not lying, I do this all the time. Who's the last person I did this to? Boom, here we go. I didn't know this person, right? I'm not gonna say her name I'm on IG too, but yeah, I didn't know this person. I just asked her to be her friend, and then guess what? She messaged me. She's a VP of relations, but she's over a bank. I applied for a grant through a bank. Y'all, this is what I do. This is what you need to be doing too. Same, what email does it says right here, y'all? Same email, same message, right? Hope you're doing well. Hope you're having a great one. Glad we connect, because guess what? Once you invite them, they're going to 9 times out of 10 approve your invitation. They see you an executive. They see you are a CEO of a nonprofit. They work at a foundation. They know a lot of people reach out to them that work for nonprofits. So they're probably going to accept your invitation. So once they accept, boom, you send them a message. Hey, I hope you're doing well. I got a great week. I'm glad we recently clicked on LinkedIn. I love the opportunity to learn more about your role at the Key Bank and hear more about your strategic priorities you're focusing on. Guess what? I didn't talk about anything about a grant. Because guess what I want to do? I want to see what the private foundation, or in this situation, what the bank's priorities are for this year. Because I'm not trying to waste my time. Again, 30-minute conversation, 15-minute conversation to see, what are your priorities? Is it financial literacy? Is it education? Is it housing? Is it mental health and wellness? Like, what is your priorities? Because I need to go on my mental Rolodex to see, do I have a program that aligns with your priorities? That's the play, y'all.
Okay, pause right there. We have only 3 minutes left of the class. Now, yeah. I know he still has a lot of information. Look, if you have to go and because you took your lunch break to be on this class, thank you so much for coming. But I would love for him to finish his thought, finish this out, because I really think that this is going to help you now and in the future. This is some good information. When I tell you he's dropping gems, y'all, I'm telling you, this is something that I wish I would have known when I first started my nonprofit organization. Now, it's something that I do on a regular basis as well. But I'm seasoned, y'all. I didn't know this when I first started. So please, if you got about another 5 to 7 minutes, we're gonna wrap this up. We're gonna wrap this up with a nice little bow, and then I would love to share with you how you can start your own nonprofit organization today. We're gonna start today, y'all. Y'all know I'm about activation. So if you don't activate today, I'm gonna be calling you personally. This is Ty. You know I said I was gonna call you. Okay. So can you give me about 5 more minutes? I'm gonna let you close this out.
Yeah, I'm almost done. Yeah, I only got 2 more, y'all. I got 2 more. All right, y'all. It ain't gonna be more details approach, because I like she said, like Ty said, like the approach stage, y'all, it's like the deal breaker sometimes. Like it's the one thing that you can literally use right now to go win a grant. Like in the community foundation, y'all, they already did the homework for you. You can literally just pick up the phone and call these folks. Like, hey, my name is Ty. I run a nonprofit. I'd love to talk to you about my organization. I see that you run this position. You own this position, right? And they give you their title, y'all. Like they give you their titles. So all you gotta do is just go through, again, just go through their information. They gave you the phone number and the email, and I gave you the script. If they're like the Bronx and they don't give you that information, now we gotta go through this cold outreach, right? Y'all, that is what you need to do. The last two I was gonna give y'all, and let me see if my slides up. And that was really, actually, I'm about to wrap up, y'all. And I got freebies for y'all. I got one more freebie for y'all, and then we're gonna wrap up. So we talked about the approach. The last one, we did a LinkedIn play. Taylor, this is for you to like literally to show what your nonprofit brings to the funder. So I always say this, y'all. When you have multiple programs or multiple initiatives, you probably have multiple services, y'all. That funder doesn't want to hear about all the things that you're doing. Why? Because they only care about what their priorities are for that grant cycle. We saw on the foundation's website, some of the arts and education, some is housing. So you don't need to talk about your other programs if they're not directly aligned with that funder. Do not talk about it. It's not saying you're trying to keep it a secret. It's just showing that you are laser focused and you're niching down to, and you did your research. Like, because some funders are like, okay, well, right now, I don't think that's something that we're looking for in this grant cycle. That means you didn't do your homework, right? And you're wasting their time. And the last one, the E, is execute. Once we discover the opportunity, we approach the funder, we tailored our responses and tailored our programs and tailored our initiatives to the funder opportunity. And we're talking directly about this one program with this one funder. We now can execute. We now can apply for the opportunity. We now can actually write the application, submit the proposal to the funder. Y'all, these are all the different websites that have plethora of grant opportunities out there. Grant Finder, Grant Station, Grant Watch, Instrumental. If you may want to take a screenshot of this slide by itself, right? So you say, you know what? If I want to find some grants, where do I find it? If I can't find it on my community foundation side, these are the grant websites. And my last freebies, y'all, make sure you set up your GuideStar account. And she's gonna talk about that too. Like, you're gonna get your nonprofit set up, you're gonna get your tax exemption status, you're gonna make sure you get your GuideStar account. Also, when you get your exemption status, how I track my grants is monday.com. Monday.com, y'all. And last but not least, you need to have a fundraising plan for 2025. I literally want you to think about what is the fundraising plan that you want to achieve and you're gonna have for this year, y'all. So I want to make sure I gave y'all that information. I'm sorry I went over a little time, right? But I hope y'all took some notes, because that is the backdoor approach. That is literally the backdoor approach, man, of how you can win grants through the private foundations for your nonprofit organization.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much, you guys. Give him a virtual hand. I want to thank you so much for taking the time out to educate the community. The businessgrants.com has been an amazing journey for me. We are actually in the process of creating an AI-driven platform that will help people search and apply for grants on the spot. So I can't wait until that's released. It's under development right now. So currently we are coaching nonprofit organizations, startups, from startups to seasoned nonprofit organizations on how to get grant ready and stay grant ready. You don't just get grant ready and then all of a sudden you grant ready for the rest of the life of your organization. No, you actually have to do like what you do with a car. What happens if you go years and years and years without an oil change? What happens? Your car eventually starts to break down. It's the same thing with your business, with your organization. You got to treat it like a car. You have to get that annual maintenance or every 6 months maintenance. And that's what we do here at businessgrants.com and Dev 180. We help you turn your organization around 180 degrees so that you're not going in the wrong direction, but in the right direction. So I have room for one question. Do we have any questions? Because You guys are going to wait till this ends, and then you're going to be emailing me and our team saying, wait, I have a question. Okay. While you're thinking about your question, I do want to share with you one thing. How do we acquire your services? Well, guess what? That's exactly what I was about to share with you. All right. So some of you do not have a nonprofit organization. And generally, we have a done for you setup service that is $29.97. It is, we do everything from setting up your nonprofit organization to helping you set up your mission statement, your bylaws. We've got templates for all that. But today, if you sign up today, Janine popped the link in the chat. If you sign up today, you don't have to pay anything right now. But what you're doing, you're signing up and you say, Ty, we need our nonprofit setup. This is what it includes. You will have, and this is not including the filing fees of the state and the IRS, but you will have your articles of incorporation, your EIN, your tax exemption, your mission, vision, and value statements, your bylaws, your conflict of interest policy, your board resolution templates, all in one place. And we will help you customize a startup checklist so that you can have a roadmap to move forward. Now, you don't have to move forward with us. We do have a plan for you to move forward if you would like to move forward. But if you do not need our help moving forward, we have a roadmap that you can just follow that and you will do just fine. Now, some of you are like, I really, really like the nonprofit guy. That's great. We are partners. This is what we do. We helping each other. So if you want to work with the nonprofit guy, just fill out this form and we will definitely connect you guys. This is something that we just want you to start. We just want you to start. We don't care who starts you. We just need you to start. I started my nonprofit organization 16 years ago. You want to know how much money I had? $30. You want to know how much space I had? None. I used my second bedroom of my 2-bedroom apartment complex into my apartment building. Now, how many kids did I have show up to the first day? 3. And the 2 of them I knew. And the other one was a friend of another one I knew. So you don't have to have everything figured out. But I do need for you to start. That's the most important thing. If something is placed on your heart and you know that you're supposed to be doing something for the community, this is where you ever hear somebody say, oh God, please, I need a sign. Here's your sign. What was a sign? I will sign up for you if I could. Here's your sign. Here's your sign of whether or not you should be getting started. Your sign is now. Now. When do you start? Now. But I don't have $9.50. Now. We have payment plans. That's as low as like $100. If you can start where you can start. So don't let anything else stop you. Right now, there is a link in the bio. I mean, in the chat. And if you're watching it later, the link will be sent with the resources and the video for you to sign up today. And our team will follow up with you in the next couple of days so that we can find out exactly what it is that you want to do in your community to see if we're actually able to help you get started. Some of you may need to start a nonprofit, but some of you probably are looking at a for-profit entity, but thinking that it's a nonprofit. So we want to make sure that you know exactly what type of entity that you are going to be starting and to make sure you start the right way. Do we have any questions about what we're offering? So Jen, you just asked, how do you get started? There's a link right here in the chat that says it's forms. Sign up to have us set up your nonprofit organization for you. Click that link. Click that link. And then all you're doing is you're going to tell us a little bit about you, what it is that you want to do within your community. And then we'll see about, we'll give you a call and we're going to talk about how we can help you. Please follow our guest, Blake Nathan, on Instagram. Make sure you follow him at The Nonprofit Guy, all one word. And then follow him on LinkedIn. He know people, y'all. Remember on LinkedIn, somebody else can actually do introductions too for you. That was a really, really good. If you didn't get anything out of today, if you don't get something out of that part right there, even if you're looking for a job, that's the way you go. That's the way you go, the back door. All right. We have a couple more questions in there. I currently have a nonprofit. However, I need more assistance. Okay. So good. Thank you. For those of you who already have a nonprofit, there is another package, the same price. There's another package, and that was called Launch. That one is for those who do not have a governance structure. You might have issues with your board, you might have some issues with programming. So, what we do is we come in and we build out the framework so that you can get grant ready as a nonprofit. It's the same price as the setup, and you can get started with that. Now, we have also the Nonprofit CEO Academy. That academy is $5,500 today if you was to sign up for the academy. I did not put the academy on here because I wasn't sure if we would have any current nonprofits or seasoned nonprofits on here. But the Nonprofit CEO Academy, and I think, do we have somebody in here that's in that? Yes. So Kendra is on the line. She is in that program currently, about to graduate the cohort. It goes as a cohort. The next cohort is about to start soon. What we do is we take your existing nonprofit, and now some of you are just founders. You are not a CEO yet, but we turn you from founder to CEO. You always be a founder, but as a CEO, you have to know how to raise money and how to govern a board. And that is something that has to be taught if you don't know it automatically, or if you didn't come from another organization. I was so happy to be blessed to be executive director at a very large organization before I started my own. So I knew the ins and outs of it. And so it helped me to get started. But I still learned things along the way that we are teaching you in Nonprofit CEO Academy. This program will help you raise money. And a matter of fact, a grant can cover, we do apply for grants in the program. Now, of course, now you don't get it right out the gate, but there are grants that will cover professional development. That's what it falls under, professional development. And you can get started with a payment plan. And this is a program where you raise money throughout. We raise money from fundraisers. We do grants. We show you how to do this. There's 13 streams of revenue that you can choose from. We just went through that class last week. And you have to choose two, at least two streams of revenue. So I love the fact that our organization has 5 streams of revenue. So we're not 100% dependent on any one stream. But I'm telling you, it is definitely challenging if you only have one revenue stream in your organization. So we work on diversifying that revenue stream. And we do that in the program. There's fundraisers going on even this past weekend, for Easter basket sales and different things like that. So we're raising money in this program. And so even if you don't get a grant right away, you still are able to raise the money to cover this and other expenses in your nonprofit. Hopefully that answers the question. Kendra, did you wanna say like a couple of sentences on your experience in the program?
Hi, everyone.
I know you.
Can you see me on camera?
Challenges with how's your throat?
Okay, it's getting better.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Well, can
I
you
just want to
share
say
with
first,
them? I'm so glad you're
yes.
on the call today.
Okay. I want to say thank you to the nonprofit guy first, because I did get a lot of value out today. But I also want to say that yes, in the academy, I've learned a whole lot. In the academy, I actually started my nonprofit about a year and a half ago. But of course, it was new to me, so I didn't know the ropes. And so I do thank the CEO Academy because it's taught me a whole lot about how to structure the program. Excuse me for the background noise, I'm at work, but it's taught me how to structure the program, how to create my board, the things that the board should be doing, the fundraising, our mission, our vision, just tuning in and, maximizing the opportunity that we have to make an impact in our community. So I'm very appreciative of everything that I've learned in the academy.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much. I actually see another Academy member. Beverly, are you able to speak on your experience in the Academy?
Hold on 1 second. I'll have to
Okay.
excuse my hair during the time when
Uh-oh.
I'm trying to make my daughter go the other way because we was using the phone on our way coming here and it's sending an echo.
Okay, well, there's no
During that, I
echo.
can still talk. During that
Okay.
time, I'm
Just
so
just a few
appreciative.
sentences of what's your experience been like, and like, why you signed up, and then what you have learned over the course of the past 9
Okay.
weeks.
I signed up because I had already met Mrs. Woods some years back, and I actually lost my paperwork. So I was supposed to connect with her. She probably didn't remember me. But anyways, I had seen her at an event that I was to, and we hooked up again. I liked what she had to offer, signed up, and didn't realize that even though I did have a nonprofit that had expired, there was still some things with that setup that was not done correctly. It was done enough to get the nonprofit, it was done enough mission, vision, and all of that. But just like she was saying, the gentleman was saying earlier, you have to keep investing in. I think you said that, Ty. You have to keep investing in what you have going on. You don't want to just be a founder, because at some of them points I was a founder. And then some of the points I was playing the role of the CEO, and some of the points I was just sitting on the sideline trying to figure it out. But with this, with the program that Ty has, I have learned more business setup. I've learned more structure. I have learned that if you're trying to put in for grants, you can't have everything as a PO box, because it looks like in certain states, especially Florida, if you're showing different addresses, they will not. The bank does not really want to bother you, because the banker actually told me, she said Florida's an area high risk for people moving here for the reason of trying to do fraud. And she said it looks like you're all over the place, and then it puts you at risk. So that caused me to go back and redo some stuff. And Ty was able to give me a lot of pointers as to what to do, as far as not just the banking, as far as the business setup, the structure, the keywords you're going to use. And then this gentleman came and put icing on the cake.
Yes.
So
yes.
I'm doing pretty good with my stuff. And let me go on and make this announcement, even though it has nothing to do with our stuff. I got the roof on the house.
Yes.
So,
and you guys, she lives in Florida. Her house was in direct contact with the last major hurricane that swooped through Florida. And so it's been a time, but we finally got the roof on the house.
The roof on the house, that's the main thing. And the electrical, they're working on that.
Congratulations.
I'm happy.
And she was able to get some grants through that as well. But all right, you guys, last thing, I want you to, if you have any questions about the Nonprofit CEO Academy, you're saying this is for if you already have a nonprofit organization that you're running and is in good standing. Make sure it's in good standing. Then you can still fill out the form, and you will put on there, I already have a nonprofit. Instead of setup, you will select, I already have a nonprofit. And then we will call, that will be a different person that will call, because that is something that we are getting ready to launch the next cohort, and we want you to be a part of that. And hey, you guys, we're raising money in this program. We're learning the structure of business in this program. So it's not just about, somebody writing grants for you. You have to know how to do it for yourself, and you need to know when it's done correctly. So that's why it's important for you to be connected to someone who has over, my baby face kind of make me look like I'm only 27, but I have been doing this for 2 decades plus. And I started when I was in my 20s. So do the math, guys. I know. But I just want you to know that there's a lot of experience. Next week, sign up for Super Tuesday. Guys, you don't want to miss next week. We're going to have Dan Johnson, who is the founder of Next Level Nonprofits. Now, if you already have a nonprofit, go back on Eventbrite. Go to our page. So you click on that link that you were on before to take you to Eventbrite. Go back to our page to sign up for next week's Super Tuesday class. He is the guru of individual donor and giving you raising your first $250,000. He's going to show you the blueprint on how you're going to do that this year. There's still 8 months left of this year. So if you are looking to raise your first $250,000, make sure you go and sign up for next Tuesday's class. It's from 11 to 12, and I am going to probably extend it to 12:30 because now I see that 1 hour is just, we're giving you guys way too much information, and I just don't want them to be rushing. Hey, if you have any other questions, please send us an email. We will try our best to get your answers right away. info@dev180.com. You can email us and we will have your questions answered. Also follow me on Instagram, Ty Woods Get Grants. Ty Woods Get Grants on Instagram. You also follow businessgrantsdot.com, businessgrants.com. This is all on Instagram. And I will follow you back. Just say, hey, I was in the class, just in case I don't follow you back. Just say, hey, I was in the class, and I will follow you back. Thank you so much. You all have been amazing. I will be sending out the video and the resources once the video completes and editing, and we'll get it out to you as soon as possible, hopefully by the end of the day. If you have any other questions, make sure you send an email. Until then, don't leave any more money on the table, guys. Bye-bye.